Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Zaxter99. In this video, which I think is going to be a pretty special video, I share with you my own definition of the word love. So when you ask the question, what is love? A lot of people may cringe. A lot of people may not have any idea how to answer that. Because can you truly answer that question with mere words alone? Doesn't love have to be felt inside your heart to truly be understood? Is it even possible to answer that question? Well, I try my best, and I'm no psychologist, but I think I got an answer that could inspire a lot of you out there. And I ask you the same question: what is love? In this video, coming right up. All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Zaxter99. And when you ask this question, the reason you clicked on this video is because maybe you want to see what my definition for the word love is. Why do you care? Why do you care what somebody's definition for this all-powerful word really is? Because it's important. It's an important part of our lives that we love. Now, when we talk about love, there's really two kinds of love, three kinds of love, actually, that I think we could put this into. First would be spiritual love. If you're a believer in religion, if you believe in God, then you probably have a spiritual definition for the word love. I'm not really going to talk about that here today. I'm going to be talking about more the romantic side of love. But there's also another side of love, and I think that's family side of love. You know, the kind of love you have for your children. And this kind of love is very, very unconditional. We love our children with everything that we are, no matter what. It's automatic. And it should be. It's part of us. Our children are part of us. They're who we are. And we love them unconditionally. So much to the point that if we saw them in front of a car, we might push them out of the way and sacrifice ourselves to save them. It's a thing we don't have to stop and think about. We simply do. And it's automatic. But what I'm talking about is the kind of love that we might think about more when we get involved in a relationship, when we meet somebody that makes us feel all funny and fuzzy. And that's the romantic side of love. That's the hard part to really define and answer, because everybody's definition is going to be different. So if I was to ask 1,000 different people to define the word love and what it means to them, and everybody was to write down their own answer and put the papers back on my desk to have me look at them, I think you would have 1,000 completely different answers. Some would be short, some would be probably a full page. But if I was to look at these papers and thinking about the romantic side of love and what it is and how you can define it, I would really be looking for one particular word. Now, you might think that that one word I'm looking for is unconditional, since I've already mentioned it, talking about and how we might love our kids. But I'm talking about a word that I think is even more important than that. And it's not trust, and it's not even the ability to communicate. It's certainly not lust or sex or anything like that either. But I think that, if we was to poll people and ask them to write down their definition for the word love, I think we'd get a lot of the same kinds of responses, a lot of similar, words like happiness, something that makes us happy, care, when we care for somebody. And, some people might even write down things like, the butterfly feelings that you get in your tummy when you look at that special person from across the room, that kind of thing. We'd probably get a lot of the same kinds of answers. But honestly, I'm no psychologist, but I've been around this world, around the block a time or two. And ever since I was young, I've always had kind of a set idea and a set ideal for what I looked for with the word love. And if I was to look at 1,000 different papers and I was to read them, I'm betting that at least 900 of these papers, probably more, probably closer to 950, 975, I would probably put in the rejected pile. Now, not a pile of papers or definitions that I would say are completely wrong, because I think that everybody in their own words can define what love means to them, or try anyway. They can put ideas or things that come along with love in their own words. It's hard to do. It's hard to define the word love with mere words. I mean, it's such a powerful emotion and such a powerful feeling. But in the romantic aspect of love, I would be looking for one particular word in somebody's definition. And if I didn't see that word, I would have to dismiss their entire paper as not fully being complete. And this most important word I'd be looking for is the word work. WORK. Because I believe it requires work to make love happen, to make love work. And I think that's honestly, when I look at the divorce rate out there, when I look at how many people say they fall out of love, and how many people, you know, go through the divorce process and separate and break up in relationships, it's extremely high. And honestly, myself, I blame the entertainment industry for this. The books, the songs, the music, and the movies and TV shows that we watch every day. If you think about it, since we're a little kid, no matter where in the world you live, you are flooded and constantly bombarded with stories and movies and books and music that tells us about love and makes us feel like it's kind of especially nowadays, it's kind of a lustful thing. And if there isn't a strong sexual desire or strong sexual attraction in the romantic aspect of love, it's not love. We see images of women in bikinis and guys with their shirts off and muscles and toned bodies and stuff like that. And all that is a huge insult to the word love. Let's face it, love means so much more than lust or physical attraction. It's much deeper than that. And for that reason, I do put a huge blame on the entire entertainment industry. But another reason I blame the entertainment industry for the high divorce rate nowadays, for the high rate of people breaking up all the time, is because we're led to believe since children, and hearing all these stories and watching the movies and the TV shows and hearing all the songs, we're taught that love is almost magical. We're believed to believe that love is something that is like Cupid on Valentine's Day. Like we're just walking along randomly and Cupid hits us with his arrow. And we can't even control it. We have no control whatsoever. Like we're just walking along and we trip accidentally and suddenly we wake up and we're in love. And we can't help it. And that to me is the problem. That's a huge problem. Because when you go into a relationship believing that you magically fell into love with this person, you have this sense of security with that, almost like it's magic. And if you don't, you don't have to try, you don't have to work at it to make it last. And that's where we fail when we look at the romantic aspect of love, I believe. So by far, my most important word that I'm looking for in the romantic definition of love is the word work. Because if you're putting words like magical and stuff like that in your definition and you don't put the word work in it, I think you're going to be misled. I really do. And I think so many of us are. You have to work at love. You have to work at a relationship. A lot of people say that a relationship is 50-50, and I disagree here as well. Two people can't be half-assed applying themselves to make it work. I believe that love is more 100-100. You have to give everything, everything, every part of who you are to make that relationship, to make that marriage work. And if you don't, while the marriage may stay together, one or both parties may not feel fulfilled, one or both people may not be happy, and they may feel like they're missing something, like they're not complete. So to me, work is a huge part and a huge word that I look for in the definition of love. It's not magical. To me, it's not something that just happens to you one day, you just wake up and suddenly you're in love. No, it's a choice. It's a choice to choose somebody, and you choose to love them through the thick and the thin, through the rain and the sunlight, and you're going to make it no matter what. You're going to give everything. When they're sick, you're going to be there. You're going to be up there cleaning up their mess when they're sick. You're going to be giving them the medicine. And when you get older, this is especially true. If you don't love somebody, if you're not willing to work at it, what if they have to wear diapers, when they're older, and you're having to change them? That's not something that anybody wants to do. That's work. It takes a lot out of you to do that kind of thing, to give them shots maybe of insulin, or to look at them when they're when they don't look so good, when they don't have that lustful look in the smooth skin and the sexy toned body, like is advertised so much with the word love nowadays in the movies and the songs and everything. So we're led to believe that love is magical and we have no control over it. And that to me is so bad, because when we get in these relationships, we expect the magic, the same magic that we believe pulled us into this relationship, to make it work out. And we don't think we have to work at it. And then when it falls apart, when the bills come in, when everything that in your daily lives that goes wrong happens, and love doesn't just magically fix those things for you and make you feel the same passion and gusto you had for the partner when you first met them, well, then people tend to give up, and they start to believe that maybe they fell out of love. It was magical and it hit them. They didn't really try. They expected the magic of the word love to keep them together, so they didn't really work at it. And then they fall out of love. And to me, that is a huge problem. Like I said, you have to go into a relationship knowing that there's going to be a lot of work involved, knowing that they're not perfect, knowing that things are going to come up, and you're going to have to put that extra effort in to make it work. Whether that be, cuddling with a person when you don't want to, whether that means, having to clip their toenails when they get bigger in life and they can't bend over to clip their toenails, whatever it is. When it means that, when they get older and maybe their hair falls out or they get cancer or whatever it is, and you don't look at them the same way, they're not as physically attractive, are you still going to be as you still going to feel that magnetic attraction to them when these things happen as when you first meet them? Because if it's all based on physical attraction, then, and all you believe is that this magical feeling puts you here, and chances are it's not going to work out when things start going wrong, when your partner starts falling apart. Now, I'd like to share with you a story, a fantasy story, that to me really defines the word love, because it does involve words like caring. It does involve words like work. It does involve words like, the ability to put yourself in their shoes and show compassion, and also to let them know that they're appreciated and that you're proud of them, and that mainly nothing can happen that's going to make you go astray. And so what I'd like to share with you now is a story that I think can pretty clearly define the word love in and of itself. Now, this story is a story that I I believed very early in my life was a clear definition of the word love and helped define what love means to me. Now, in this story, I'm going to go ahead and describe a very beautiful young lady that she's a teenager now, and maybe she's 18, 19 years old, and we're going to go ahead and call her Sarah for the point of the story. And Sarah has had a boyfriend. We'll call him Hank. And Sarah and Hank have been friends ever since they were young kids. Sarah loves Hank with all of her heart. She's known him for so long. She's grown up through the high school years dating him and holding his hand. And Hank is an ordinary boy. He's got a funny attitude. He's strong-willed, and she likes that about him. She likes that, the way he holds her. She likes the way he tells her what he thinks, the way he can step forward, and the way he can calm her when she's hurt or when she's upset. He has that ability to make her feel peaceful and, talk to her, listen to her when she needs somebody to talk to. And she's always like that about Hank ever since they were kids. But now she's dated him throughout high school. And she is absolutely, anybody in this high school could tell you she is the queen of the high school. She is the prettiest girl there. And she's just got the perfect hair. Her eyes are like magical, like beacons in the night. They can light up anybody. And if you can imagine a girl just this magnificently pretty, like her face is perfect. She's got the right body and everything like that, but her attitude is cheery as well. But mainly, she's just got the most beautiful face, and it's won her lots of awards. And she's already getting offers to be a model in high school because of the pictures that she has posted online. So if we can imagine Sarah being this beautiful, and we can put ourselves in her shoes in this relationship with Hank, we can imagine that Sarah, as she starts to get, 17, 18 years old, and she starts to see all the other guys now hitting on her and complimenting her, and the guys that have, the nerve to come up and say, hey, if you and Hank never work out, I'll be here for you, this kind of thing. So as she starts to see that a lot of other guys are attracted to her physical beauty, she might start wondering if Hank is the same way. Has Hank held on to me because he thinks I'm cute when he was a kid, and now he thinks I'm so pretty? Is that the reason that Hank loves me? Sarah thinks to herself, and she thinks this a lot. She's never dated anybody else, so maybe she doesn't know any better. All she knows is that she loves Hank with all of her heart, and she would do anything for him. But she does have that insecurity, wondering if her boyfriend that she's had all through high school only likes her so much because she is so beautiful. So what happens next is Sarah is going to church one Sunday like she usually does. And she's late getting there, running late on this particular Sunday morning. Perhaps she had a late night with Hank out the night before on the Saturday night. And she's circling the parking lot for this church, and all the parking spots are filled up. And she's in a hurry to get inside because, there's a special event in the church, and she hates being late, and she hates how, if she comes in late, how everybody turns, and she doesn't like to feel like she's interrupted, a service. So she's in a hurry, and she ends up parking down a street to run into the church. And she's in a hurry. She looks at her watch and sees that it's, 9:58 a.m. She's only got 2 minutes. She needs to hurry. And she doesn't hear any cars, and she darts across the road. And at that time, it's when a drunk driver is speeding through. She doesn't even see or hear him before it's too late. And when the pickup truck bashes into her body gets thrown under the undercarriage of this truck. Her face is slammed down hard on the cement, and the clothing that she wears gets stuck under the undercarriage of the truck while she's facing the pavement. As the truck finally comes to a stop while it was speeding, going 40 miles an hour in the 25 zone, her face is dragged and burned across the asphalt in the pavement in the road. It's bumped, it's bashed, and it's tossed around like a rag doll. And when the truck finally comes to a stop, Sarah's left in a pool of blood. Her face is now stuck to the pavement. The ambulance comes, and they have to basically pry her face, her bloody face, off this gravel. And it's a horrifying moment for her. All she can feel is pain. She's scared to death of what's going to happen next. And when she wakes up in the hospital after being put to sleep, and after they've done emergency surgeries on her face to try to reform her face and her broken bones inside of her face, she has no idea what to expect. She can feel the scars and the pain even with all the medication that she's been given. And she can see quickly that she has bandages wrapped around her face, just a slit for her eyes so she can see. And she's told by the doctor that she has to wait about a month before they can remove the bandages. Now her boyfriend Hank is there, of course, at the hospital. And he's there every single day, holding her hand, talking to her, trying to cheer her up, trying to make her happy. But inside, Sarah is consumed with fear because she knows that her beautiful face is not going to be the same. There's no way it could be. She can feel the pain in her face, in her cheeks. She can feel the bone structure has been completely changed since this tragic accident. She has to be fed with a straw through a small hole through these bandages. And thinking of how much she loves Hank, she's scared to death. You can imagine how scared she would be at the thought that he would leave her because she's no longer what she's always been to him. And that thought breaks Sarah's heart every single night. As soon as Hank leaves, she completely breaks down. She can feel the tears in her eyes as she thinks how lonely it's going to be, what it's going to be like to live in this world without the boyfriend that she's known for the last 12, 14 years. The same guy that's been there for her so many times. It could be completely horrifying. And this is where the definition of the word love comes in to me. Is the day after these 30 days, you can imagine how long these days might be for Sarah. But the 30 days pass by, and she's sitting on this bed, and it's the day they're finally going to unravel these bandages and see how well the surgery worked. Sarah's super scared of what she's going to look like, how she's going to look mostly to her boyfriend. Is she going to be okay? Is he going to be able to accept her now without the bandages on her head and with whatever her face looks like? You can imagine how scared she would be. And as the nurse starts to slowly unravel the bandages around her head and remove the gauze and reveal what's left of her face, when the last of the bandage comes off, the nurse has to turn her back because even the nurse gets teary-eyed and is crying because of the face that is exposed now. Sarah notices. Sarah can't even look up at her boyfriend Hank. She's scared to death that she's going to see disgust in his eyes. Like, ooh, what's happened to my girl? She can't bear to see that in Hank. And her impatience and her curiosity gets the best of her. And she reaches for a mirror sitting on a nearby table by the bed to look and see what her face looks like. Now, before she grabs that mirror, though, you have to imagine this girl that was once so beautiful sitting on this bed. The last of the bandages removed, and her beautiful face that once was now being completely deformed. The surgeries that they had to do to just try to form her face to where she could still see and eat and breathe. If you can imagine, maybe she doesn't even have much of a nose anymore. It looks like a glob on her nose with two holes in awkward situations. Her eyes aren't even straight. Her eyes are look like they're on two different levels. And her mouth is barely formed. It's twisted and awkward. And the muscles and the skin forming her mouth make it look like her mouth points in a different direction. Like instead of the center, her mouth is pointing off to her left. No, it's hard to imagine that a face being that deformed. But in this story, let's imagine it is. And what was a once magnificently beautiful young lady now looks like a face we might see in a alien or a horror movie as a monster. Now let's imagine still the really beautiful pupils of her eyes under this hideous mask that she has, this deformation of her face. Let's imagine those beautiful blue eyes of hers with tears forming on them. You can see the tears flowing out of her eyes now as her boyfriend walks towards her and places his hand quickly on the mirror that she's reaching for. And this, my friends, is where the word love is defined. Now that I've got the story here, Hank can see the difference. Hank doesn't want Sarah to see her face right now, because Hank knows Sarah and he knows that she'll lose it. She knows that if she sees her face like he can see it, she'll absolutely lose control and just go into a sobbing mess of uncontrollable tears. He doesn't want that sadness for his girl. So he stops her from picking up the mirror, and Hank sits down beside her on the bed, and he puts his mouth close to her ear, and he tells her, "Honey, there's nothing in this world that's going to stop me from loving you. To me, you will always be the most beautiful woman to ever walk on this earth. I'm so proud to have you in my life, and I'm always going to be here for you, baby. I love you." And Hank goes in to kiss her as she feels such amazing relief at his calming words. Once again, Hank has calmed her in her greatest fear. And with this, she is able to close her eyelids and anticipate his kiss. Once Hank sees that Sarah, his long-beloved girlfriend, has closed her eyes, he twists his own mouth and contorts his own face, all so that when he kisses her, Sarah feels like it's a more natural kiss. Because if he's to kiss her straight on, she's going to feel the awkwardness of his normal face compared to her deformed, awkward face. So he forms his lips and his face in an awkward position so that when she feels his kiss feels more like all the kisses they've shared before. And this is my definition of the word love. Hank loves Sarah. There's nothing that can change that. It's not based on beauty. It's not based on physical attraction. And as we get older in life and we have these relationships, are we still going to love the person they're with as they change? As their skin becomes wrinkly? If their hair falls out? As their bodies change? Get saggy? As they fail to be able to walk? What does love mean to you? How would you define love? To me, this story here represents what love is. It represents the sacrifice you might have to make to show the other person that you love them, such as in Hank contorting his own face so that she feels more natural when he kisses her. Hank walking forward and stopping her from looking in the mirror, thinking ahead and thinking of her and her feelings before his own. How many of us in that situation would be tempted to walk away, to look for something more desirable, to look for something prettier? It's a huge sacrifice. And that's what love is about. Love is about give and take, sacrifice, and it's not based on looks or physical attraction. It's all a nice bonus, physical attraction and the lust and all that. Sure, it's a nice bonus and it's a nice icing to the cake, but it shouldn't have any part of the definition of the word love itself. You should love somebody just the same when they're 17 and got a nice toned tight body and perfect skin as when they're 65 and their skin is sagging and they're overweight and their hair is falling out. So hopefully this story has helped define maybe what you think of the word love. And I'd love to go ahead and open up the comments down below this video for everybody that watches this video to share in their own words what they think love means. Maybe I've left a huge part of what you feel love means, inside you. Have I left anything out? Does this story not completely define the word love to you? Let me know in the comments below what you think. I'd love to read your comments. I may not reply to all the comments, but I really want to hear the comments of how well this story about Hank and Sarah defines the word love to you. If you agree with me that work is one of the most important words in the definition of love. And maybe with all this, maybe you still believe that love is completely magical and we have no control over it. Like we don't make a choice. It completely happens to us and we wake up one day in love. Whatever it is, let me know what you think. I'd love to read the comments. I think this is going to be a very interesting video, especially if I get some views and comments as well. So please do me a huge favor. Not only rate this video, give me a thumbs up if you like it, but please subscribe. But more importantly, please share this video with everybody that you think may enjoy hearing my definition of the word love and may enjoy sharing their thoughts as well. Let's get this video passed around. Feel free to share it on your Facebook accounts. Feel free to share it in your blogs, on your, on your different web pages, whatever it is. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Zaxter99.